When I first watched Ilya Naishuler's Nobody a few years ago, there was no way I could predict what I was in for. And I got Bob Odenkirk of Better Call Saul on an adrenaline-filled, rocket-fueled kill fest of a thrill ride, filled with misdirection at every corner, clever writing, and solid performances. It was smart and injected just the right amount of dry humor. The casting of Odenkirk was counterintuitive and inspired as a John Wick-style ex-cleaner, and by the end of the movie, I had another all-time favorite on my hands. It took the trope of the unassuming assassin, like The Long Kiss Goodnight with Gina Davis, and gave it a dose of steroids. I could remember thinking, oh god, I hope they don't make a sequel, because it didn't need one. It was fine just the way it was. I honestly didn't want to know what happened after Hutch disposed of Yulin by way of a Claymore mine, so was there a need for a sequel? Did it end up helping or hurting to know how Hutch's life unfolded? Well, let's find out. So Nobody 2 picks up after the events of the previous film, and Hutch is back as a cleaner, doing what he does best, killing, and killing in the most creative and painful ways possible. This could be a good thing, and it worked in the first one, but strangely, it didn't have the same impact. And it seemed forced at times. Let me tell you, it takes a lot for me to be disappointed in action scenes and killing, but they managed to do it. He apparently incurred some kind of debt for burning the op shack in the previous film, and the only way to pay off such a huge debt was to accept and execute some contracts. Not sure why they didn't just assassinate him after burning all that money, but whatever. He's doing jobs to pay down the debt, and it's creating a rift between him and his family, because of course, that's something a normal family living in suburbia can accept and only be mildly annoyed. I get that buying into this world requires some suspension of disbelief, but Nobody 2 pushes those boundaries more than a gender studies student's yoga pants after visiting the buffet. So in order for Hutch to save his marriage and keep his family together, where he coincidentally clashes with Colin Hanks and John Ortiz that play the antagonists, Sheriff Abel and Wyatt Martin, respectively. I gotta say, I love Colin Hanks in anything he does. That guy's a boss. It's revealed that the two work for Ladina, played by Sharon Stone. She's kind of like a queen pin and a stand-in for Yulin, cause you know, we gotta go with the same damn formula. She's bad, real bad, and I know this because the film keeps showing us how bad she is in scene after scene, to the point that it's comical and not in a good way. I mean, I get it. She's a bad chick. There's a twist that I did kind of enjoy, and a samurai sword battle involving Harry Mansell, Hutch's brother, that was incredible. But little else was entertaining outside of that. The final battle was more formulaic than a Marvel or Jaws movie, and tame in comparison to the ending of the first Nobody. It ends with a trope of a pair of 80-pound lady ninjas disarming and kicking Hutch's ass. What a pussy they've turned Hutch into. Also, Martin and his wife could save him, and they could shoehorn some good old-fashioned female empowerment. They basically turn Hutch into Dylan Mulvaney. A hero needs to work his way out of his own predicament, like James Bond or Sigourney Weaver in Alien, either with ingenuity, skill, or fighting prowess. They have to earn their resolution, not just have it given to them, unless it's part of the theme where characters need to use teamwork for the group to survive or achieve some shared goal. This takes away from his agency, and it's worse when two brave and strong 80-pound diverse lady ninjas are the ones that take him down. That kind of shit would have never happened to Arnold. I guess this trope isn't going down easy. I found myself wanting to like it so much, but I was constantly underwhelmed by the predictable action scenes and some of the forced tension. A true mark of a failed sequel is the rehashing of elements that made the first one interesting and unique. And they did this a lot. If it wasn't the recreating of the bus scene, it was the setting large amounts of money on fire to piss off the evil Queen Pin. And it even started and ended just like the first one, where two agents were interviewing him, and instead of a kitty cat, he had a dog. It's like going to dinner with your ex and listening to each other's bullshit jokes and stories. The ones you've rehashed and retold to the point you just can't stand the noise coming out of their mouth. And then you wonder why you even thought dinner would be a good idea. You've seen this story play out over and over, and you realize why you broke up in the first place. That's why homicides happen.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
That's Nobody 2. Most of the elements were clunky, unimaginative, and played out. The new director, Timo Tjahjanto, was responsible for such cinematic gold as VHS and VHS 2. What a great place to start, because those films did so damn well. He just didn't understand what made the original successful. Nobody is not just a John Wick-style action porn that didn't take itself too seriously and answer the question, how many ways can I kill a man? It's the story of a nobody, because after a life of anonymity and secrecy, he felt he didn't have an identity. He was a man who wanted a normal life and got what he asked for, only to realize his former life was his true normal, and this new civilized life was a monotonous role of taking out the garbage, dealing with the daily grind of work, and a dissatisfied wife that bitches when you forget to take out that very same damn garbage. It's the internal struggle to balance the yin and yang of his psyche in order to find peace, not to mention a lot of badass killing. It felt forced and clunky to put him back in his assassin life. It really just felt like a way to milk the IP a little more. Please, Hollywood, leave the raw, unique films alone. We didn't ask for a sequel, and if you decide to do it anyways, make it interesting and different. It made a dismal $14 million in its first weekend, behind Freakier Friday and the animated Bad Guys 2 that was going on its third weekend. And that's more pathetic than Sydney Sweeney's body positivity haters. I'm giving it 2 reels because honestly, I just love seeing Hutch on screen again. And it was sprinkled with some redeemable qualities. Well, let me know if you went to the cinema to watch it or if you're just gonna wait for it on streaming. And as always, keep watching movies.